Bill, I think you came at it from an even different angle, which is you have a very strong training in traditional finance, and you really understand, probably more so than almost anyone in this room. If I sat down with you and we looked at a company, you would start talking about, cash flow analysis and assets and enterprise value and all the things that go into analyzing a business. You're one of the most hardcore Bitcoin believers I know. Talk about this almost dichotomy, right? Of you understand the traditional world and maybe all the critiques that somebody would have of Bitcoin, yet still come to the same conclusion as, Natalie, Russ, or myself.
Yeah, I think it comes down to just understanding at the fundamental level what capital is, what it should be, how we account for it. And then when you just think about what Natalie was saying a second ago about gold and how Bitcoin is a vastly superior technology to gold, even though it hasn't correlated with gold over the past year or so, that's where all the opportunity is. It's more liquid, it's verifiable, it's auditable, it's harder to steal, and it's much more scarce on a supply curve basis. So, it's understanding what we're trying to do fundamentally with the money, but it's also thinking about value in a flexible way. And just because everyone hasn't come around to the same view that we have yet doesn't mean that they won't. I mean, you look at what happened over the past 15 years to go from $1 to now it's $66,000. I mean, there's enormous signaling value in markets and in free markets. And so, it took 100 years for running water to go from being a possibility to being ubiquitous in houses. And so I see this as a multi-decade trend, and I think we're just getting started. So everyone in this room everyone in the world is born into a system of capital governance that they did not choose. And so for me, opting into Bitcoin was a pretty cool thing. A new technology that really didn't exist until 15 years ago and was not even possible. And so today it is possible. And so opting into that system has been cool for me. From an active fund management perspective, outperforming the market is a very hard thing to do. And you have to take active risks that other people don't take if you want to have a chance at doing that. And so when I look around at all the opportunities that you could choose to invest in over the long term, that give yourself a reasonable chance at outperforming the overall market, Bitcoin is that choice for me. Among a handful of other things, obviously we do, but that's a big part of it. And so that's how I got there. And again, it just comes down to understanding fundamentally the whys. Why do you own Bitcoin? Well, it's a better system of capital governance. People will eventually realize that, just as they have for the past 15 years. They'll continue to come around to it. It will continue to be volatile. Once the volatility is gone, there won't be any opportunity. And so we're in it for the long term.
Well, when you think of the market structure, I think that the critics would point to a bunch of data points, right? They'll say, hash rate is down 40%, or they'll point and say, you can't buy a coffee with a Bitcoin, right? And all these kind of components that people have been saying for years and years. When you're talking to other fund managers or institutions, what are you hearing there? Or has there been any movement in their kind of acceptance of Bitcoin, or what are those conversations like behind closed doors?
I think one of the dirty secrets is I think a lot of fund managers that can't own it in their own funds, there still are legal challenges to owning it in a mutual fund, by the way, but they own it personally. A lot of fund managers just own it personally and they can't do it in funds. So I think that's important for people to be aware of.